Hello. I watched an empire fall in real time, but stuff still happened. So what's up? It's cold outside. It's icy, at least around me. It's also very icy in Minnesota. Still, the snow kind of ice. And the fascist kind too. I want to start off today by highlighting that Minnesota really hasn't changed a whole lot, despite talk about drawing down the forces there. In Minneapolis, Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy were both gunned down by ICE agents who were then protected by the federal government, as the citizens who were killed in the streets were called terrorists. This was a bit of a difficult thing for the White House to explain, and so they were like, well, we gotta do something besides call our own citizens terrorists after we get them murdered. So what they did, presumably to not have to keep dealing with this, maybe, was to get rid of Greg Bovino. I've never looked up how to pronounce his name because I don't care. We're gonna call him Greg Bovine. Greg Bovino, or whatever. He's the fashy looking dude who like explicitly tries to dress like a Nazi. He's been the head boy of ICE for a little bit now, going out in the field, doing all the fashy stuff and hyping them up, talking about how this is our town. ICE agents.
What city is it, Chief?
Fucking arse, fire fucking city.
Anyway, they pulled him out of Minneapolis and replaced him with Tom Homan, who is the border czar. Anyway, Tom Homan, he looks like he's melting all the time, and also, I'm pretty sure his soul already has. So he comes in and he talks about drawing down the troops that are currently there by 700. That entire statement could be analyzed for years. Drawing down the personnel and talking about it like it's a war zone is fucking crazy, my guy. And they're pulling out 700 people, leaving 2,000 agents, which is more than twice the total employee count of the Minneapolis Police Department. Tom Homan went on to refer to Minneapolis as a theater. You ever heard of the term like the Pacific Theater? You know, like that's a war thing. It's a way to refer to like a war front. This is an American city. A cold one, but it's an American city, not a fucking war front. Or at least it wasn't supposed to be a war front. But it turns out that the people in Minneapolis are still, to this day, hiding people from feds and trying to not get stopped in the street by a masked, armed guy who's like, show me your papers. It was just a couple of weeks ago that I talked about a contact that I have on the ground in Minneapolis who was telling me about someone they knew who was being hidden. I have since received a text message saying they took her. Every single day, people in Minneapolis are on the ground trying to help, trying to push back, and making this a huge pain for the administration. These people are working day and night to make it so that this administration doesn't get to get away with this bullshit. We are all very aware of it because of how strong that local community has been, and they've been winning. It is horrendous that multiple people have had to die for this. And we should be holding the administration accountable for that. But this would not be the first time, by a long shot, that American citizens died by gunfire at the hands of government agents on US soil for standing up for what was obviously right. Now, of course, there's a lot of ICE operations going on outside of Minneapolis too, and we are also getting reports now of outbreaks of various diseases in ICE concentration camps. These outbreaks include tuberculosis, measles, and COVID-19 in places that have children. Those classic detention centers for children that we have. On the topic of children that our government abducts, by the end of Biden's presidency, we were taking 25 children a day, give or take, into ICE custody. It is now at about 170 children a day being rounded up, thrown into camps somewhere that, according to the nurses who have been trying to offer healthcare at these camps, they are overpacked by 3 times capacity. People have reported that the ICE agents are more interested in deporting people than ensuring that they actually are healthy and have access to life-saving medication or anything like that. There are so many of them that health screenings are happening in groups. Public group health screening. But again, it's not like this is happening unimpeded. And like the system is strained right now. A whole bunch of attorneys in the Minneapolis area are quitting because they're like, fuck this. I either don't want to do this because this is fascist as hell, or this is making my life impossible. Here's a quote from an attorney who was at her breaking point. In court, to the judge, she says, Quote, "The system sucks. This job sucks. I wish you would hold me in contempt so that I could get 24 hours of sleep." I think that about sums it up. They're fucking miserable, but that's okay. We can make them more miserable. We'll get there. Have faith. Hull. If you like what I do, you can help me keep doing it by supporting me. You can head to isupport.dev, and there are options for monetary support or just sharing my stuff and other ways to help me keep all this going. So thank you so much for being here. I'm doing this for you, but I can't do it if I can't feed myself. So thank you, anyone who is interested in supporting, and that's great. Let's move on. And now for sports. We go to the sports desk. It's over here. Hi, welcome to the sports desk. I'm the same guy. The Olympics are happening. And the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is not at the Olympics. That'd be funny. The Winter Olympics of 2026 have started in Milan. They are going from the 6th to the 22nd. And a whole lot of people are going to do a whole lot of cold stuff. There have already been a handful of medals passed out, just sort of like handed out. I haven't competed yet, so I haven't gotten my medals. But I can say that Japan got a medal for men's snowboard big air. Now look, I know that men's snowboard big air is a really rad sport. I'm not dogging on it. It does sound like a bargain bin Nintendo 64 game. But grats on the big air, men's snowboard. Of course, we also had the opening ceremony, which was a whole thing, and JD Vance was put up on the Jumbotron, and the entire fucking world booed him. Which is the only reaction, really, to having JD Vance on a Jumbotron. Over stateside, we've got the very big bowl going on. It's when they take all of the superest people that have a lot of knowledge of the pigskin and the gridiron, and they put them in an arena together with a Bad Bunny. It is the Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots this time around, so that just goes to prove that the closer you are to the border of Canada, the more frequently you appear in the Super Bowl. That's my thesis, because I don't know a whole lot else about the NFL. The Super Bowl is happening like as I'm recording this, so if you're watching it, I hope you're enjoying your buffalo chicken dip. And I'll let you know who won. Here, I'll edit it in right here. The team that won was the Seattle Seahawks. Moving on, I want to acknowledge that the situation in Gaza really hasn't changed. I'm kind of tired of things not changing. I feel like things could change a little bit for the better. Now, look, I don't honestly have a whole lot more to say here. I have spent years now saying some rendition of the same thing of Israel has attacked Gaza again, and I don't know why, and they claim Hamas was there, and then they don't really give any evidence, and then they say also, no, we didn't do that, and also it's a ceasefire. All I really have to say is to encourage people to be loud. If there's any semblance of someone suggesting that the conflict, in huge air quotes, between Israel and Hamas has ended, it's just not the case. People are still actively being targeted by heavy artillery while trying to dig their homes out of the rubble. That doesn't sound like an end of a conflict to me. A very different kind of explosion, a WaPLOSION. The Washington Post just kind of fucking beefed it. Like, holy shit, dude. On February 4th, the Washington Post announced job cuts of 300 people. It's about a third of their staff. Among the things that they cut were their entire sports desk, the entire books desk, their audio and video teams, including some of their podcasts, their culture teams, and their foreign coverage teams. What are they going to report on now? I don't know. They say they're going to focus on like government and security. Here's how it went down though, because this is even crazier. Pretty much with no prior warning, just the editor had to say, hey, you all are getting your jobs slashed. The CEO isn't here to say that because he's elsewhere. It later came out that the CEO, Will Lewis, was off at a party for the Super Bowl while absolutely cutting his staff to shreds. That didn't sit well with the team. He's since resigned because obviously, to drive home how sudden and absurd this was, Lizzie Johnson, a reporter for the Washington Post in Ukraine, posted that she had been laid off by the Washington Post in the middle of a war zone. She had been working out of her car with no power in Ukraine on the war front, where Russia has been attacking energy infrastructure. And then she found out that she was laid off in a car in the middle of a war zone. Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post in 2013 for $250 million, which is like, fuck all. This is the paper that exposed Watergate. This paper has 76 Pulitzer Prizes. It started in the late 1800s. Like, regardless of anyone's current outlook on the media and the news and whatnot, It's wild that Jeff Bezos is so much more interested in lobbying Trump that he'd rather just annihilate the Washington Post. It doesn't sound like he was super happy with how this was all handled, but it's not like he hasn't been doing active harm to the Washington Post's reputation for a while now. You'll recall that right before the election last year, he personally stepped in to stop the Washington Post from endorsing Kamala Harris. Now, did that change the election? Probably not, but that's not a thing that you should do if you are a billionaire donor who owns a newspaper. Hey, maybe fewer billionaires owning newspapers, please? Here's a very good quote from a former executive editor of the Washington Post, Martin Barron. Quote, Bezos' sickening efforts to curry favor with President Trump has left an especially ugly stain of their own. This is a case study in near instant self-inflicted brand destruction. If you are Elon Musk, you are not liking Europe. There you go. I helped you out there. Elon Musk has been beefing with the EU and multiple individual states at the same time. Last week, French authorities raided Twitter's headquarters in Paris because of the whole Grok generating non-consensual images of children thing. Quick recap, Elon Musk's AI chatbot Grok is baked into Twitter now, and you can ask it to remix images that people have posted, including images of other users, and in some cases, children. People have been using this feature to undress people en masse. Notably, that's bad. Not long ago, the EU hit Twitter with a big old fine about a whole bunch of other stuff and messing with the blue check marks and shit. And Britain's been looking into them for privacy concerns. And now France is looking into them for the whole child porn thing. Musk's response to basically all of this is to say that the EU is tyrannical and unfair and being political. Yes, it turns out when you want to operate for profit in a country, you have to adhere to their regulations. I don't think that's going to get through to Elon. I don't think he has a super great grasp of regulations and adhering to them. Speaking of which, we have some new stuff about Doge. There was a court filing about the whole Doge situation back when Elon Musk was like, I'm going to be in the government now. And yeah, they did the dumb shit that we were assuming they did. A court filing shows that Doge employees were doing a whole bunch of nefarious shit with Social Security data that they were not supposed to have access to, including uploading it to third parties that were not approved, such as Cloudflare. This means an unknown amount of unknown data from the Social Security database was sent over an unauthorized third party, and we have no idea what it was, where it is, or how much might be retained. Neat. That's not neat, actually. Here is an idea. Elon Musk, but not. Any takers? Lightning round. The Clintons will be testifying in front of Congress over the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. They're pushing to make it a public hearing. It's going to be a disaster. Here's the weather. GameStop employees have a new dress code. They gotta wear polos and stuff. I don't know why this made my list of news, but it's in there. Okay, here's a more salient gaming thing. Valve has released a statement saying that their upcoming array of new hardware, including the new Steam machine and their new VR headset and stuff, is going to be delayed and possibly more expensive. They chalk this up to essentially the situation with AI right now. If you've tried to buy any hardware parts, it is way too expensive for parts that should not be expensive. So they're basically saying, hey, the market's fucked. We're figuring it out. Today host Savannah Guthrie's mother was abducted, and we don't know where she is, and they've been trying to figure that out. There's a ransom note and everything, and there's just not really any information about what happened. They've apparently been in contact with the abductors. I cannot imagine. Don't abduct people. That's my PSA for today. And finally for today, according to an analysis from the Wall Street Journal, if you take all of the spending that AI companies have been doing as a portion of GDP, it rivals the Louisiana Purchase. It's double the cost of the Interstate Project. That's a lot of money. I am once again casually requesting just one of those billions. Just a single one. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments section what we could have spent all of that money on aside from AI data centers. My name is Endeavorance. We'll talk again soon. Take care and be well.